Hello, Kaarel here again from Cybertech. And we're gonna just continue with our little mini series on PGWatch2, our open source monitoring tool. And so far in the previous episodes, we have already now covered the basics, the architectural overview and setting it up using Docker and setting and doing a custom setup with individual components and setting up like a systemd service so that it's going to be always running. And we can now actually dig into some more advanced topics. As there are quite a lot of functionalities built into this tool already. So as we see here, the list of topics is again quite long for today. So let's just continue. First topic, retention management. When we were setting up our service, so we did not stop here, but although this is an important topic, and the thing is that just when you immediately start monitoring hundreds of databases, and using some aggressive metrics preset, so it can actually happen that you will even run out of disk storage on the metric storage DB when using plain Postgres. The Postgres compression in our use case is not particularly efficient, and for large amount of databases under monitoring, you usually want to use Postgres together with the timescale DB extension, or then as a fallback InfluxDB storage, which otherwise though is not really recommended anymore nowadays due to the let's say query language that is kind of limited. So when setting up PGWatch2, always review and tune those settings or those parameters for your needs. And then PGWatch2 will take care of the rest, meaning when some partitions are older than 2 weeks, the agent will drop it automatically in the background. And it just works automatically once you bootstrap the metrics DB schema. So there are some functions in there, like drop all data or something like that. So you can in case you're having some problems, actually you can do it also manually. So, and I've seen some situations actually in case of monitoring also a lot of different hosts that the default Postgres lock limitations are not enough. So there's a parameter called like max lock something, max lock per transaction, so that you'll need to increase this parameter as well. And the functions that I talked about to drop it manually are here under admin schema, display functions, admin. So you can say just drop all time partitions, feed it in a day at threshold, and that's about it. So it's all automatic though generally. So okay, so much about retention management. Now we're going to stop more. We're going to touch more deeply those preset configs that are coming with PGWatch2. And so, what is a preset config? In the previous episode, I already also, I selected one. I think the exhaustive preset, but I did not go into the details of what is like a preset. So basically, we're to make usage of PGWatch easy for beginners, especially. So there are just a bunch of like appropriately named sets of metrics and intervals. So this is like a basic preset, and basically just the name already tells you how aggressive how aggressively are we going to fetch metrics? And for a good overview, actually, you would want some kind of aggressiveness still. So here the metrics, the presets are, for example, defined here. So metrics, and down below we have this preset configs. So, well, this exhaustive preset is a good starting place. Full actually needs already a bunch of metric fetching helpers to be installed. Otherwise, you just get too many errors. So nothing bad, but just errors in your PGWatch2 log and also in your monitor Postgres log. So and yeah, this unprivileged is also a good preset. So without any so here we do not assume any helpers. So this will work in any case on all versions of Postgres and should not actually cause any errors. So this is a good starting point also. But as we can see, it's just a bunch of metrics, and the metrics. Let's explain quickly also then what is a metric. So here we see metrics. So basically it's just a bunch of normal SQL queries that tell us something about our databases. So usually it means we're looking into some let's pick another metric. So for example, DB stats, it just looks into the PG stat database statistics view. And usually, we don't want everything also, so we never use the star. So we still pick what we need, and so that it's also nice and explicit. But yeah, basically, metrics are just normal SQL queries that give us some information on the status of the database, and then we just specify an interval in seconds for this metric, meaning every 60 seconds, so we try to fetch or try to execute the SQL and store the results in our metrics DB. And this interval actually can be can use also floating point numbers. So if you're running this metrics collecting agent on the DB server, so you can easily use like a half a second interval for some short-lived stuff like logs or PG stat activity. Here it's the stat activity stuff is under the backends metric actually. So yeah, so these are the presets, and when you set up a config DB based setup, so actually the data will live in this table, but you're most likely going to be accessing it over the web GUI anyway. So especially for beginners, so it makes it more convenient, and that's especially changing them also. So the intervals. So here, for example, I can go to this metric definitions tab, and I can just change the exhaustive preset and gather logs data a bit more aggressively or more often. And then so yeah, another image on that. So but what if those presets are not really good for you at all? So then yeah, you can just basically pick and choose any metrics that we have defined or you have additionally defined yourself, and set some interval for them. So how to define metrics, this is actually all documented also nicely, and what is a metrics, and there are some special here some keywords where the tags system, and yeah, everything should be documented. So basically nothing too complex. In the case of a file-based config, so the presets are, so you can edit directly the metrics preset configs YAML file. So yeah, so you can add your own presets. So here there are a lot of for different cloud environments and then such. Next topic, metric time ranges. We saw that we can configure the intervals, but additionally, one can also define some time ranges where a specific metric will not be gathered at all for none of the configured databases. And this can be defined in special metric attributes files, or in case of the config DB, again, there's like a JSON-B field for every metric. And here we can see so that for this metric here, some metric one, let's say, we don't want to gather it on the weekends from 9 to 9. So, and you can also then specify time zones actually. So if no time zone is specified, we will use server time, the server where the PGWatch2 collector is running. And there are quite some attributes. They're all actually also described or explained here. So what do they do? For example, yeah, this instance level attribute will allows some caching. So if you're monitoring many databases of an instance, so some data is actually not instance based, not database based, and this can be then shared. So yeah, and per metrics type, as you can also override the default timeouts. So the statement timeout, actually you can specify firstly on the database level, but for some certain metrics, maybe those who are probably scanning through a lot of data, some bloat metrics maybe, or they might need some more than the default 5 seconds. Yes, okay, in case of the web UI, yeah, you need to edit the stuff there. So next feature, gather groups. So basically this grouping attribute allows you to separate the monitoring entries into different groups, and then you can launch different collectors for different groups. So basically this can be used for sharding. In case you're having like 2,000 databases to monitor, so maybe just for because of the load sharing reasons, and maybe to reduce some risks, that when one monitor falls over, you don't lose all the metrics, and yeah, so basically you can do some grouping and sharding, and there's a parameter called group. So by default, yeah, we monitor everything from the default group. So then about replica handling. So replicas are here we're talking about the streaming replication, not logical replication, normal binary streaming replication, and we're assuming that we have set up a cluster of nodes. So we have one primary, taking writes, and then we have those spare high availability nodes, or maybe they're also used for some queries, doesn't matter. But in case when they're not really used at all, so maybe it's not a good idea to really monitor them aggressively, because we're not doing anything with this data. So there is not much happening there, let's say, when there are pure HA replicas, and there are maybe a bunch of those also. So basically, we're just wasting resources, network and disk resources, especially the metric storage. The pure Postgres metric storage database can grow quite rapidly. So yeah, we can then say that we do not want to monitor replicas at all. Or actually, we can monitor them with some reduced settings or intervals. This is probably a better idea, just at least maybe to use some basic presets, so that we could implement some health checking. So just to see that there all the nodes are up and running. So then the next feature, a relatively new one, I think, has to do with the fact that Postgres actually, or sorry, PGWatch2 actually by default works on a per database level. So if we're monitoring 5 databases that actually reside inside a single instance, the PGWatch2 does not really know about that, and doesn't care about that also. So but if you would want to summarize the data somehow, or you would like to group all your replica nodes and the primary nodes together somehow, so for that you can use the system identifier column available since I think the easy access to it via SQL is available from version 10. Before that, you could use PG control data, but in PGWatch2 case, which tries to extract everything via normal SQL connections, this wouldn't work. So yeah, so basically some metrics already extract this system identifier, but you can actually force it for all metrics. Just add a flag, and then for every data row, actually we will get like by default this sysID value for every data row. But again, here you should consider if storage is already a problem, you might still be happy by adding this system ID to some metric of your choice in a more targeted way. And then PGWatch2 also, when you specify a monitoring entry. So here, for example, we have this config instances YAML that we set up in the previous episode. So actually, you need to specify a name explicitly. And this it's not a good idea to use like a real DB name here, because they can be repeating in between various environments. So if you've got like a test environment and production environment with the same name, so there can be a collision, and PGWatch then would just basically merge this data, so that you need to take care of this aspect yourself. But if you indeed want some kind of indication what is the actual database being monitored, so yeah, you can use this flag again. And this allows, for example, to merge when you want to later use the monitoring data, you can merge some statistics from some other system when they, for example, use the real DB name. So just some extra flexibility. Then a bit about security. I think I already mentioned that you can pretty much secure all the connections to remote databases, and create some admin users and specify passwords and such. And here one aspect now that you would normally also want is the password encryption. So when you insert, for example, this password here, read only, okay. So this wouldn't be an especially like a good idea, yeah? Because if you check this config file into some version control system and you know it spreads around, you know it might be a problem. So there is a possibility to encrypt also those connect string passwords. So here, by the way, you can also use, of course, pgpass files. That's mostly okay. But if you really want to encrypt on PGWatch2 side your passwords, so you can you don't actually have to do it. You can also maybe use like inject some those passwords via some container management framework, and in those YAML files you can actually also use environment variables. But yeah, PGWatch also supports encryption, and basically you just need to like pick a passphrase, and the only thing that you need to do then is that you need to really guarantee that the passphrase is safe, because you know it cannot be changed. Then you just need to in case it's exposed, you need to pick a new one and re-encrypt the passwords. And yeah, so both the web GUI and the collector support this password. So you just you know launch it, and let's go into the web ties, for example, and so the password was key phrase. Yeah, we need to provide this one. So let's say it's secret. And now if you say that you know you want to use password encryption in the configuration database, it will land encrypted. And when you provide the same key to the agent, to the metrics collection agent, so things will just work. And you can safely, you know, pull backups from this Postgres config DB. So it will be just like garbage. It will look like garbage to in plain text format. So next, end of topic list. So good. Hopefully this was useful, and as always, so if you see something that should not be like that, or you've got some other ideas, please let us know on GitHub. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.